Imagine a calm morning where the streets are filled with people going to work, children playing in schoolyards, and airplanes preparing for takeoff, when suddenly, the familiar pull of the ground beneath your feet disappears and is replaced by an opposite force, pushing everything upward into the sky. Coffee spills from mugs in floating droplets, cars rise from highways like balloons, buildings begin to creak and snap as their foundations tear free, and within seconds chaos consumes the world as humans, animals, and objects are lifted uncontrollably into the atmosphere, a terrifying vision that feels like the ultimate betrayal by the planet that has always held us close. This chilling scenario of reversed gravity is not only a science fiction thought experiment, but also a powerful lens through which we can understand how fragile life truly is. And before we explore the science and consequences of such a reversal, if you are new here and haven't yet subscribed to beyondx, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a comment with your first reaction to what you would do if up suddenly became down. To appreciate the horror of reversed gravity, we must understand what gravity really is. Because while Newton described it as a universal force pulling masses toward one another, giving us an equation that could predict orbits and the fall of apples, Einstein transformed our view in 1915 by showing that gravity is not a force at all, but the warping of space-time itself, caused by mass and energy. According to this theory, Earth bends the fabric of the universe, and we, along with the atmosphere and oceans, follow the curves of that bend, which is why astronauts orbiting the planet are weightless, not because they are beyond gravity, but because they are in free fall around Earth, moving along space-time's curve. And this means reversing gravity would not simply be flipping a switch, but rewriting the very geometry of the universe, a feat that defies everything we know about physics. As bizarre as it sounds, modern cosmology reveals that repulsion is already part of the universe, because in 1998 astronomers discovered that the expansion of the cosmos is accelerating rather than slowing down, driven by something scientists now call dark energy, a mysterious form of energy that makes up nearly 70% of the universe and acts like negative gravity by pushing galaxies apart faster and faster. While this cosmic repulsion does not fling coffee cups off tables or people into space, it demonstrates that repulsive effects exist and might even dominate the ultimate fate of the cosmos, with some models predicting a big rip where galaxies, stars, planets, and atoms themselves are torn apart by accelerating expansion, making our thought experiment of reversed gravity on Earth an impossible local event, but still strangely connected to real physics happening on the grandest scales of existence. If gravity on Earth suddenly reversed, the consequences would be immediate and catastrophic. In the first second, you would rise a meter above the ground, within 5 seconds you'd be soaring higher than rooftops, and after a minute, you would be hundreds of meters in the air surrounded by deadly debris from shattered buildings, broken vehicles, and torn infrastructure as entire cities transformed into upward-flowing rivers of concrete, glass, and steel. Airplanes ready for takeoff would blast into the sky uncontrollably. Bridges would tear apart at their anchors, and skyscrapers designed for downward loads would unravel floor by floor, releasing their contents into the storm, turning metropolises like New York or Tokyo into vertical tornadoes of destruction. One of the most devastating consequences would be the immediate loss of our atmosphere, because the air we breathe is held close to Earth only by gravity. If that force reversed, nitrogen and oxygen molecules would begin streaming upward instantly, dropping surface air pressure to deadly levels within seconds and causing people to clutch their throats as they gasped for air, while decompression ruptured eardrums and even caused body fluids to boil in a horrifying process known as ebulism, similar to what happens to astronauts exposed to vacuum without protection. Winds of hundreds of miles per hour would roar skyward as the atmosphere peeled away, turning the blue sky darker until within an hour, Earth would be as airless as Mars, leaving no chance for survival on the surface. Just as air would escape, the oceans would follow, erupting from their basins in colossal skyward tsunamis that surged upward rather than sideways, tearing harbors apart, reversing rivers, and turning waterfalls into ascending geysers. The Pacific Ocean alone, with its more than 700 million cubic kilometers of water, would be ripped away in hours, forming massive globes of liquid in the upper atmosphere, before freezing into shards of ice in the vacuum of space, and Earth, once called the Blue Planet, would be stripped of its seas, rivers, and lakes, leaving behind a barren desert world indistinguishable from the dead landscapes of the Moon or Mercury. Life on Earth, which depends entirely on the stability provided by gravity, would be extinguished almost immediately, as plants withered without air pressure to drive photosynthesis, animals suffocated in minutes, fish and whales were torn from oceans and frozen in orbit, and soil microbes were carried into the sky where radiation sterilized them. Only extremophiles buried deep within rock might persist for a time, but the rich ecosystems of forests, coral reefs, and savannas that took billions of years to evolve would vanish in a single day, turning Earth into a lifeless husk. Human civilization would not last any longer than nature because everything we build depends on gravity pointing downward, from skyscrapers that rely on compression in their columns, to bridges held by anchored cables, and dams that resist the weight of water pressing downward. When gravity reversed, these design assumptions would fail catastrophically, causing buildings to split apart, bridges to snap upward, nuclear reactors to rupture, and satellites to be destroyed by the rising torrent of debris. Communication systems, power grids, and transportation networks would collapse within minutes, erasing centuries of progress in less than an hour. On an individual level, the human body would be destroyed by reversed gravity even before the atmosphere escaped, because our inner ears, responsible for balance, are calibrated to one gravitational direction and would be overwhelmed instantly, causing vertigo and panic, while our circulatory system, designed to pump blood upward against gravity with valves that prevent pooling in the legs, would fail as blood rushed uncontrollably into our heads and chests, causing swelling, ruptured vessels, and rapid unconsciousness. Astronauts in microgravity already suffer from vision problems, bone loss, and fluid shifts after months in space. But in reverse gravity, these problems would happen within minutes, making survival impossible. Is there any hope at all in such a nightmare? The only possible survivors would be humans already off Earth, such as astronauts aboard the International Space Station, or potential future colonists on the Moon or Mars, because they already live in environments designed for survival without Earth's atmosphere or gravity. Bunkers underground might buy minutes and submarines might last slightly longer, but as air and water escape the planet, even these shelters would fail, leaving only those farthest from Earth's cradle alive, a cruel irony that highlights how fragile and dependent we are on the invisible forces of nature. This nightmare also connects to real science because while gravity will not reverse on Earth, cosmologists warn of scenarios where dark energy's repulsive force could one day destroy the universe itself in an event known as the Big Rip, in which galaxies drift apart, stars are torn from their orbits, planets are ripped from stars, and finally atoms themselves are pulled apart. While current evidence suggests dark energy is constant rather than growing, the possibility remains, and studying it helps us appreciate how delicate the balance of forces really is, a reminder that existence itself is not guaranteed but the result of cosmic harmony. So what if gravity reversed and we fell into space? The terrifying truth is that life would end almost instantly as air, water, ecosystems, and civilization vanished in hours, leaving Earth stripped bare and humanity extinct. But thinking about this scenario teaches us an important lesson. Gravity, the quiet and invisible force we take for granted, is the foundation of every breath we take, every structure we build, and every moment we live. And it is only by contemplating its loss that we can truly appreciate its gift. So the next time you feel the ground beneath your feet, remember that you are standing on a miracle of cosmic stability. Thank you for watching this deep dive into one of the most chilling thought experiments imaginable. If you enjoyed this journey and want more explorations into the mysteries of existence, please like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to beyondx so you never miss another adventure into the unknown.